Hello and welcome to the second video from Vintage Gal. Yay! Hello and welcome back. It's nice to see you again. And I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody who commented on my video from last time. Yeah, the reception was fantastic. I was so worried about putting the video up and it was brilliant, so thank you so much. So today I'm going to be talking about some crocheting projects that I've been doing, and I'm going to be talking about a few that I've actually finished over sort of like the past few months that haven't featured on the blog at all. If you don't know me, you never seen me before, you never heard of me, basically I blog over at vintagegal.co.uk, so go and see me over there. A little history about my crocheting. So I have been crocheting now for about 2 years, and I've wanted to do it for a very long time, but I never kind of could pick it up, I don't know why. And I went to a crochet workshop, and for some reason it just clicked, and ever since then I've been making my own clothes. So my ambition basically, because I am very much into vintage, I like 1930s, that is my era, I really wanted to start making 1930s clothes, so crocheting them, and it was a big thing during the 1930s. Knitwear was huge. I can't knit, never have been able to knit. We will come to that later. But I always wanted to crochet because 1930s crocheting is absolutely beautiful. I have a few 1930s crochet pieces, including this that I'm wearing right now, and I also have a 1930s dress, which is my utter ambition to make, and I will make one eventually, but at the moment I'm kind of making lots of jumpers, which I seem to be absolutely obsessed with because I've never had proper authentic vintage knitwear before, so it's really nice to have that. So what I'm going to start with is just a few projects. They're a bit random. I haven't featured them on the blog. The reason being is because they don't really worthy an entire blog post. So let's get started. So the first one was actually something I wanted to crochet a really long scarf. Really long scarf. Kind of Doctor Who-ish, I suppose. The reason I wanted to crochet one like this was because in the 1920s they had these big kind of really long scarves, and they used to kind of wrap them around like that, and then they'd sort of put them up and they'd fall down one shoulder and then come down the other, and then they would sort of hang down. They would always have these lovely tassels and everything. So I wanted to make one like this, but the other reason I wanted to make one was because I've never crocheted with super chunky, and this was amazing to crochet with. With genuine, like authentic 1930s patterns, it's all about tiny little hooks and tiny little threads that you actually crochet with. So that's what I've been used to, whereas this was like, you know, absolutely massive compared to that. And it was a fun project to do. I literally sat on the sofa over Christmas and yeah, and literally crocheted it. It was so easy to make. It was, I think it's trebles in UK terms, which would be double crochet in US terms, and it was based on, I can't even find the pattern now. It was online, and it was originally a cowl, or an infinity scarf, whatever you want to call them. And yeah, I just literally did it as with one big long thing. And this is actually, it's Drops Eskimo yarn in gold, I think it was. I think it was called gold. I really should have looked that up. Lovely, lovely yarn. It's felting. It's like felting, so it's brilliant for doing felting projects. So it's very, very different from crochet thread. So it was a really, really fun project anyway, and it was great for the winter. And I probably will end up making more of these. My second project over the winter, over Christmas, was this cushion. Now my mum actually knitted the outside bit because, as I said earlier, I can't knit. And then I crocheted all the flowers and the leaves, and then I sewed them all on, which took absolutely ages. And then I did the embroidery, which I'd never done before, so I'm just about to sneeze. It's all this wool. No, I'm not. Okay. And then I sewed on this little ribbon, and this is actually from, so I've got all my books up there ready, so let's pop that down there. So this is from Homespun Vintage, which I picked up on eBay, from Jane Crowfoot, and yeah, there's the project in there. It opens up at that page straight away. There you go. So they did it on a sort of more of an oatmeal-y background, but I wanted a cream, ivory cream background. And the reason being is because on my bed I've also got this, which is a vintage tapestry cushion. So the two of them go together, and then I'm going to make a round velvet cushion, so a nice sort of round one to go with it, to go on my bed, because in case you don't know about me, I'm a big seamstress. I'm a trained seamstress. I went to college and learned fashion design and all that. I don't actually do it as a job now, but as a hobby I make a lot of my own clothes. So I'm I also a cushion to go with that. So my next project, and now we're actually going into the jumpers that I am obsessed with. So this was my next project, and this was again, I wanted to do a quick, easy project, and I wanted to use a sort of a thicker yarn and a bigger hook rather than using the tiny threads and the tiny hooks, because I'd done a lot of that last year, and every single one took me forever to do. So yeah, I think this took me about 5 weeks to do, and literally when I crochet in my lunch break at work, and I probably crochet for about half an hour in the evenings when I have a chance, and that's literally it, because I don't have a lot of time. So this was my next project. I hope you can see that. It was super, super easy, and this was from, now this is it's a reproduction, and I hope you can see that. It is hand knitted apparel, hang on, for town and sports and travel. Yeah, hand knitted apparel for town, sports and travel. God, by Flesher. I think you say Flesher, is that how you pronounce it? Anyway, and it's number 17, and this is so it was an original 1930s pattern that was reproduced by Ivor Rose. If you've ever gone to Ivor Rose on Etsy, and she's also on eBay. She used to have her own website, but it seems to have disappeared now. I will put the link below anyway. I got this from her website, but if I was going to buy from her now, I'd buy it from eBay or Etsy. So the pattern, I've actually used this a few out of here before, but this was the pattern I used, and it's lovely. It's getting a bit dark here. Sun's gone in. Yes, we actually have some sun today. Yay! Sorry, it's been so grey and horrible here. It really has. It's been absolutely horrid. It's been raining all week. It's been rubbish. So we got some sun today. So once I finish this, I'm going out there, because otherwise, if I wait till tomorrow, it'll probably be raining again or snowing or something. Anyway, this is called the Swagger Pull-On, number 1972, and it says a charming sweater blouse That is the last word in Parisian. Oh God, why did I try reading this? Anyway, there you go. Whatever that word is. Did you even see that? Can you see that? Yeah, what does it say? Insouciance. I'm gonna have to look that up. I have no idea what that means. It says, it is made in simple crocheting stitch and features the new Gauntlet cuff. So the Gauntlet cuff came in, because the Gauntlet cuff was huge in the 30s, and it came in 1933 according to this book. So yeah, this book has some really nice patterns in it. It's got knitting as well as crocheting, but there's a lot of crocheting, and this is one of my projects that I want to make, but I'm going to make some big changes to it. And again, it's got the Gauntlet cuff, crying out loud. Let me find another one I've used. Yeah, so if you go onto my blog, you might see this. I made this in mustard and white, and I made a mustard and white jumper that actually went with it. So there are another, yeah, I want to make that one too. See that? Isn't that gorgeous? Yeah, so there's quite a lot in there. So I'd highly recommend that book if you want to find some really good patterns. And they're all really good. They seem to be really sort of simple patterns, and there don't seem to be many mistakes. If you've ever used vintage crocheting or knitting patterns, you'll come to realise that actually there's a hell of a lot of mistakes in them. Pretty much every single pattern I use has mistakes in them, but because I've got backup of my sewing experience, I know kind of how garments are constructed and everything, so I can kind of figure it out how the actual pattern pieces are supposed to look like, which is really helpful. But yeah, this, I haven't found any mistakes in this so far, so this is a good one to have. So I use, for my version, so it has a nice gauntlet cuffs. And it actually looks better on, which I will do a proper blog post about this on the blog. I haven't been able to photograph anything just recently because of the weather. It really has been so shockingly bad. Sorry, I'm English, I talk about the weather all the time. But hopefully that is now changing. But yeah, anyway, back to my jumper. So I made mine in Drops Karisma, which is I think it's 100% wool. Let me find out because I've got it down here. It is, yes, it's 100% wool. And I think this was called Chocolate and Ivory, or Off-White. It might be Off-White. I'm sorry, I never take down the names of things, I'm terrible. But yeah, Drops Karisma. And it's a lovely wool. It's ever so slightly itchy, so just warning you if you're susceptible to that. It doesn't bother me. I'm somebody who can wear any kind of wool, but it is slightly itchy. My mum actually knitted, again, my mum knitted my ribbing for me. I did try, but it didn't happen. So she very kindly knitted my ribbing for me. And it fits me really well. I haven't had a jumper yet that hasn't fitted me properly. Fingers crossed that'll continue. But I think I do double check everything as I go along. I always put things up against myself as I'm crocheting, and because with crocheting you can rip things back really easy, much easier than knitting. It just makes it, that's why I love crocheting, it's just fab. And you can kind of do it as you go along and create the pattern pieces to your size. Other people might struggle, but I think because of my knowledge it kind of really helps. Anyway, next project. So they're the ones that I've completed, and now I'm going to move on to the ones that I'm currently working on. Now this is a bit of a labour of love, and you'll see in a minute what I mean by that. So the pattern that I'm using is this one here, which I got from Subversive Femme, I think that's how you say her name, on Etsy, and it's a beautiful checkered crochet jumper, and I think this is kind of from roughly around sort of 33, 34, looking at her hair and looking at the style of it. I was very intrigued by this because I have never seen anything quite like it in crocheting. And once I got the pattern, it's quite funny how it works. It looks extremely complicated, but it's not. So what you do is you crochet like that, all the horizontal stripes. And it is, again, it's literally trebles or double crochet in US terms, and a chain stitch. Literally, that's all it is going along. So you do it like that. So you do one treble, one chain stitch, one treble, one chain stitch, one treble, and you create your pieces. So that creates the horizontal bit. And then what you do is you weave in the vertical pieces. I've got that there so that I can tell that that's the outside and that's the inside. But you weave it in, which is why it's got all of these down here. These are going to be a nightmare to weave in once it's all done. But you go up and down, up and down, up and down to create the nice, it's kind of like a ginghamy effect, which is, I really, really like it. Probably better, it's better actually when you see it on. It might not come up so well on the camera. But this is, so I've done the whole front, back, sewn it together, and done a, so it was a single crochet stitch all the way around the top, which it's quite stiff and I'm not sure I like it. I may take it off and get my mum to do ribbing if she would kindly do that for me, because I don't know, I'm not sure if I like it or not. But there you go, this, yeah, so there you go. You can kind of see it there. God, I gotta look white. Yeah, you can see it there. And so that's done. So I've done both sleeves. I've got to weave in one more sleeve. My mum has kindly done the waist ribbing. There's lots and lots of ends here. And 2 arm cuffs. I tried knitting these 10 times. Might have been more. The problem being is because it's it's Cascade 220 fingering, which is, it's a 4-ply, but it's quite a thin 4-ply when you actually knit or crochet with it. So it's more like a 3-ply, which is perfect for 1930s patterns, because a lot of their patterns were done in 3-ply, which is really hard to get these days in the UK. I have no idea about America, but generally 3-ply in the UK these days it's generally baby yarns, which comes in like pastel blue and pastel pink and pastel yellow and white and ivory, and that's it, and you don't get any other colour choices. So Cascade 220 fingering, again, it is wool, it's alpaca wool. Some people find this a bit itchy. Doesn't bother me. I have a jumper made in it that one of my friends, Amanda, on Instagram, she actually made it. I'll put a link to her Instagram below. Go and have a look at it. She's an absolutely amazing knitter, and she knitted me a Christmas jumper, a 1930s Christmas jumper, which is absolutely gorgeous, and she takes commissions and everything. So I do know she's fully booked up this year. I couldn't get in, which was really annoying. But yeah, anyway, going back, yeah, so it's a little bit itchy for some people. But because it's so thin, and because a lot of 1930s patterns ask for a tiny, weeny little knitting needles, I think they're like 3mm. Trying to learn how to knit using that was utterly impossible, so I gave up. And I will come back to that in a minute, but my mum then kindly knitted that for me. What I'm trying to figure out at the moment is sorry, I keep going all over the place. The bow on the pattern is actually different to the bow that's in the image, so I'm making the one that's on the pattern, and it's actually quite nice. So that's it there, you can just about see that. It's going to be much longer. That's kind of where the middle will be. And then I'm trying to decide whether I should have a red bow on there, or whether, let me just test it with this, let's pretend this is a bow, or have a blue bow. So the bit that will kind of pinch it together, that will be in the opposite colour. That's what it says in the pattern, but I'm trying to figure out, so if you've got any ideas, just let me know. So that's that. So once that's done, I'm actually going back to a project I started last summer with the intention of getting it finished by the end of the summer last year. But this is typical 1930s. This uses a size 2 needle, which is teeny tiny. You can see that, just about see that, and very, very thin crochet thread. It's a number 5, which is actually not too bad. It's trying to figure out, I think that is like a 2-ply, if I remember rightly. But the pattern is from this, which is an original. This is one of my like prized possessions. This is an original 1930s crochet book that has patterns in it, and I've already made one. So I made that one last year, and I made it in emerald green and white, and I absolutely love it. But this is the one that I'm making now. So it's a tailored blouse, I think that's what they call it. Yeah, Tailor Blouse. It says, this tailored blouse is a beautiful example of the latest shirtwaist influence. So they're talking about shirtwaisters here, which is really nice to hear. If you know anything about vintage, you'll know about shirtwaisters. So the reason this is not only the fact that it's tiny crochet hook, tiny thread, it is the most complicated stitch that I've ever done. So I've done quite a lot, and you work up, typical. You work up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, and go all the way round in one. So I'm that much round. Oh, you just stay there. There we go. Right, can you see that? Actually, it doesn't look like the colour. It's a nice peach colour. It looks really weird on the screen. That might look better. Anyway, you might be able to see it creates a little texture, as you can see. Yeah, just about see that there. And every single stitch has about, I think it's about 8 different moves to it, and it's really complicated. I mean, once you get to the rhythm of it, it's fine, but every single row takes me 15 minutes. So you can see how long this is going to take me, especially the fact that I don't have a lot of time to crochet. So I got to the point where I was just completely utterly fed up with it. So I took a break from it and went on to other things. But I'm determined to get this done, because I have an original 1930s skirt that I want to go with it, that's got peach in it, and it looks really lovely together. So this is going to be my project I go on to once I finish the checkered one. Hoping to get this finished this year. So that's my current crocheting projects. Now, going back to the whole knitting thing, I'm going to attempt to learn how to knit. And so what I've done is, because the idea of actually knitting with tiny little needles and really thin yarn terrifies me now. Oh God, what's going on with my hair? I'm going to use some big, anticipation. Look how big this is. It's so squishy. I love it. It's, get out of the way. It's Aran Tweed by Hayfield, and it's a bonus, so it's it was dirt cheap. $8.99 for this, and it has 400 grams in it, which is 920 yards, 840 meters. So there's tons of wool on there. And I bought two. Yes, I bought two of them because it smells so good. You can smell the sheep in there. Oh, it's lovely. It's got 20% wool blend in it, but it really smells of sheep, which is lovely. Anyway, what was I saying? God, I've lost my thread. Oh God. Yeah, so going back to it. So I want to learn how to knit. I'm going to try doing it with nice big thick wool. I mean, it's not massively thick. It's not like chunky or super chunky or anything, but it's still quite big, and I love these balls of wool. They're so cozy. But what I'm going to try and knit, I've decided to go for, originally I was going to go for the 1930s 3-hour sweater, which most people, if you're a knitter, you probably heard of it. It's the one that everybody says there's no way you can do this in 3 hours. But a lot of people, having read reviews and everything, a lot of people have said it's quite complicated when you get to the top bit, when you do the arms. So I kind of thought maybe it's not the best idea for a beginner. So what I did, I went online and I had a look around at modern ones, trying to find something that was kind of 1930s-ish, but in Aran yarn and decent size needles. So yesterday I finally found that one on Deramores. Is it Deramores? I'm not sure that's how you say it. I'm not sure how else you would say it, but yeah, anyway, I found it on their website, and it was a James C. Brett Aran wool that it's done in, but can you see it's got, oh, go away. Can you see it's got the gauntlet cuffs here and here? So it's kind of slightly 1930s, and I like the crew neck on it, and I like the sort of the long ribbing down there, which is similar to my mustard jumper that I made. So yeah, it's going to be a project that I'm going to just kind of try and do. Did you see my knee there? Oh God, I have my trousers pulled up because it's so hot in here. I do apologise. I don't need to see my knees. Yeah, so I'm gonna try and make it in this. I love this kind of tweedy effect. I've never used this kind of thing before, so we'll see how it goes. I'll keep you posted, probably on the blog and via my my social media, Instagram, Pinterest? No, not Pinterest. Facebook. Yeah, Instagram and Facebook. And oh God, I've lost my thread again. What is going on? Yeah, so I'll keep you posted via Instagram and Facebook and the blog and everything like that. And we'll see how we go. I mean, it might not happen, and I'll go straight back to a crochet pattern, but we'll see. Anyway, I'm sure my mum will give me a hand. She's a long time knitter, so yeah. So anyway, that's all my projects, and thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope it hasn't been boring or anything like that, but awkward moment, there's a button down there, you can subscribe if you want, I don't care. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. You're awesome. Go away. Bye.